Oakley dokley. We're back here in Lean Bear Studio, Dayuldong, lovely scenic Paji City, South Korea. 10:12 p.m. July 29th, year of our Lord 2025. And as I mentioned in the stream description, well, knock on wood, but I think I've finally turned the corner on this whole analog versus digital issue, at least in my own mind and to my own satisfaction. Of course, it's going to be different for everybody. What is this analog versus digital thing? What is it? Some very knowledgeable guys, I say guys because I don't know any chicks talking about it, guys like AP Mastering. AP Mastering, now there's an engineer's engineer. I'm gonna move my camera over here. Since I'm addressing my audience, my fans. AP Mastering. It's an interesting channel. He's an interesting cat. He's a real bona fide mastering engineer, as he constantly likes to remind people. And AP Mastering guy says that this whole analog versus digital debate is what's the word? It's maybe fallacy. It's based on fallacious or just incorrect, invalid ideas and assumptions. Misconceptions, rather, maybe. And one of his major points of contention is that, look, a lot of your favorite records from the late 70s into the early mid-80s that you think are all analog are in fact digital. And what is Mr. AP Mastering's criterion for that? He's a technical guy. And his technical criterion is this. There's something, I believe it was called a mastering lathe, that was used in the mastering process. And starting, I believe, according to him, in the late 70s, mastering lathes were equipped with analog to digital and digital to analog converters. There was one stage in that particular part of the mastering process wherein the signal crossed from analog to digital and then back to analog again, and therefore, technically, to Mr. AP Mastering's way of thinking, that is now a digital recording. And he's gone on at great length and made very good, very compelling technical arguments for why this whole analog versus digital thing is all just hype based on misconceptions, and no serious engineer should be thinking in those terms. And I get that. And I get it. I see it. But, see, he's kind of like, there's like so on the one hand, you've got like the analog guys, where if it's not analog, it's crap. Digital is crap. Digital is cold. Digital is harsh. Digital is unmusical. Digital is the devil. And analog is where it's at, and if you don't have the wherewithal to track and mix all your stuff digitally with an analog console, not digitally. If you don't have the wherewithal to track and mix everything with analog, reel-to-reel tape, an analog console with transformers, preamps, and all that, then, it's not, you can't possibly get great sound, great audio. And then there are, this is just my reading, okay? But then there's kind of like guys who are this is more where I've tended to be, that, we live in the times that we live in, and most of us don't have the wherewithal to track reel to reel, and that's very prohibitive. Those old machines are hard to come by. They're expensive. Even if they're not expensive to buy, they're expensive to maintain and upkeep, and they're prone to mechanical failures. You really have to know what you're doing. You got to get the tape. I just saw all kinds of things, and there's been this real democratization of the whole studio process and experience, music production, a democratization of it with the home computer. And then, once there was Pro Tools, and then I first dipped my toes into this back in like 1999. And, man, it's come so far since then. Back then, it was just really, really, it was a headache. But now there's all these great options for digital audio workstations, and they work really well. And there's just no shortage of great tools, digital tools, software tools. I've never paid for a single bit of software or a single plugin. And I don't feel like I ever need to. Anyway, look. All right, so there's the guys, sort of middle ground sort of guys like me, where it's like, okay, well, I fully accept that I don't live in we don't live in analog world anymore, and I've got the tools that I have the technology that I have, but now there's this entire industry of software tools, plugins that are designed and intended to help you to analogify your sound. And I'm not saying anything against those whatsoever at all. They're great. The good ones are really, really good. Really, fantastic. I love them. My personal favorite is Tone Booster's Real Bus. And it gives you all kinds of analog vibey sounds. At the end of the day, they're all just really complex EQ and compression algorithms, or maybe algorithm is not the right word, but it's just all very sophisticated EQing and dynamic compression and probably other stuff I don't know about or understand, but still, at the end of the day, these are pieces of digital software, right? And so, just leaving aside the hardcore technical, like Mr. AP Mastering's argument that this is all a bunch of BS and there is no analog versus digital. I'm leaving that aside, and I'm saying that to I would say probably to the vast majority of musicians and recordists, there is a difference. Whether it's technically correct that there is a difference or not, in the minds of a majority of us, there is a difference. And so I'm going to say there is a difference. To me, there is a difference. There is a vibe that you get from tape that you don't get from tracking to hard disk, or nowadays like solid state drives, whatever. There's a vibe to analog that you don't get with digital. But here's the thing, there's a vibe with digital that you don't get with analog. And I've never been one to just take a blanket dump on digital, because I've heard great digital audio in like multi-million-dollar studios through just unfathomably expensive equipment, granted. You know, like $1 million Neve console and monitor speakers that are in the tens of thousands of dollars a piece. I've been there, I've heard it, and it's stunning. Stunning, absolutely stunning. When it's done properly and capably, with taste and understanding of what it is, how it works, its strengths, its yeses, its no-nos. There is a difference. And I spent the better part of a year trying to find the secret sauce, the perfect combination of this plugin and that plugin and this technique and that technique, and just to make a recording in an all-digital system actually sound exactly like it came, like it was tracked to tape and mixed in an analog console. And I've come to the conclusion that you can't. It's a fool's errand. And I think I always knew that, but because it's just logical. All right? There's something that happens with tape, and it has to do with the fact that it's tape, right? And not a hard disk. It's molecules. It's molecules and their magnetic fields, and not ones and zeros, on-off voltages. And contrary to what Mr. AP Mastering says, there's a vibe to analog. Now, what is that? I'm very synesthetic, meaning that for me, audio is highly visual. I see, in my mind's eye, I see sounds in terms of colors and textures and spaces. I think everybody's like that to some extent, but some of us more than others. And so, all right, I was relating this anecdote to my friend Brian earlier this evening. I was sitting in one of those studios one time years and years ago here in Korea, an engineer that, he mixed and mastered hit albums for the big companies, and that was a beautiful, seriously beautiful, amazing studio. And he was trained in Australia. He really knew he was a smart guy. And we were talking about this, and I said, to me, it's like you go to the zoo, like a beautiful zoo, like a nice zoo, not some crappy, depressing zoo, but let's say it's like a really, really nice zoo, and the animals it's like they're actually in their natural habitat, really, like, and you're listening to. I said, listening to one of your digital projects is like, I said, it's like gazing at this stupendously exquisite animal in its exquisite natural environment, in exquisite light, with an impeccably clean pane of glass separating you. You could almost reach out and touch it, but there is that pane of glass. And analog is more like there is no glass, and you can kind of feel the body heat from the animal and smell it, and maybe you could reach out and touch its fur. And he thought that was a good way of putting it. Now, but I think even like a simpler and better way of putting it is like this. In terms of like painting genres, there's better yet, and then there's even better yet, and simpler yet, and simpler yet. So for me, like, I don't know, like analog could be a lot of different styles of painting, but how to say it? It's like, okay, digital to me, first off, analog is more like soft, more earthen tones, colors, a little bit more muted, kind of like all right. First, like sorry to fumble and bumble, but okay, like the paintings of Alex Gray. I think I actually got them pulled up here. Hang on a second. Now, this is going to touch on something called the psychedelic experience, but I'm not into that anymore. But it is a thing, and those colors. But something like this, man. Pristine, beautiful digital sound can kind of like get into this level of this kind of color. Vibrant, extremely detailed, but not cold. Not cold. Not inherently cold. I mean, analog is a little woolier, a little fuzzier around the edges. But I think even better is like you watch like an old sitcom from say I was like covering that. Oh no, it's right there next to my noggin. Yeah. But like you watch an old sitcom from like the 80s, like Cheers. And it's like the video has kind of a fuzzy, grainy kind of quality about it, whereas like something more recent in the 90s or aughts or teens, it's more like the same quality of light and color as if it was like shot on a cell phone camera or something. Like it's more, I don't know. More like hyper real in a way. Anyways, hang on, I gotta drag this down. It's something like that. Really beautiful digital sound makes me go, wow. in much the same way, like when I go to Costco or some other big store that has like those really enormous OLED TVs that are like less than a centimeter thick now, and they've just got bajillions of colors, and they are so just vibrant and amazingly detailed that they're 3D. You don't even have to put on a pair of 3D glasses. And to me, that's what really amazing digital audio. AP mastering's objections aside, I get it. I'm just saying there is a difference. And for millions of us, it is a real thing. This analog versus digital thing is a real thing. The struggle is real. The issue is real. I'm just saying, I'm not like partial against digital. Analog good, digital bad. I'm not like that. Never have been. Because as I said, I've heard amazing digital, what we would consider digital. And what that engineer considered digital. He was at least as technically advanced as Mr. AP Mastering, but he got it. I just think that maybe AP Mastering guy is just not a real muso. I don't know. Anyway. I don't know. Maybe he is. I shouldn't say that. But anyways. It is a thing. And so I've noticed in this year of trying to analogify and often being tempted to go the route of like really beautiful, going for really beautiful, really clear, nice digital sound. I still love that muzzy kind of analog, that slightly antique-y. These are the things that a lot of people associate with analog, right? And so what I keep coming back to again and again and again and again and again, I'm doing this album that I'm working on has big mixes with a lot of moving parts. A lot of parts. Too many parts in some cases, but it's like I like the technical challenge of making it work and puzzling out the EQs, and this is something that I enjoy, a process that I enjoy. And I've enjoyed, it's been frustrating, it's been at times, but I've really enjoyed it. But I'm throwing in the towel. Here's what I keep coming back to. Every time I find I get my mix sounding as I consider it analog in a saturated, tapey kind of way, I always have to sacrifice little details. So I'm not gonna be able to hear that anymore. Not that anyone else would probably ever notice, but that doesn't matter because probably nobody's ever going to listen to my stuff anyway. It's important to me, right? And it's like, well, maybe on a really super high-end pair of monitors or really hi-fi speakers that will still come through and be audible, but that won't be audible anymore on my consumer-grade speakers and headphones and stuff. It just gets smudged out in a way that it wouldn't with real tape. With real tape, you'd get the saturation, you'd get that kind of muzzy, blurry, fuzzy, kind of warm, kind of rounded, again, kind of earthen color profiles and textures, but the detail wouldn't be lost. Think Steely Dan. Think like Tres Hombres. Was that ZZ Top album? Tres Hombres? The early ZZ Top stuff, which in my opinion is like It was up there with Steely Dan. It was all analog, exquisitely detailed, but still had that tape vibe. Okay? And I'm just of the opinion that I think it's, and I could be wrong. And if I ever discover that I am wrong, I'll wear the egg on my face. But I've come to the conclusion that it's fool's errand. You can't do it. Can't get it. It's just because of the nature of things. Right? Kind of like if you're born with a certain set of chromosomes, you can't become a person with another set of chromosomes, if you know what I'm saying. You always have those chromosomes. Something like that. That's kind of scary, actually. You know, it's like you take a digital mix and analogify it supremely well. Still a digital mix. Right? You go down to Sukhumvit Road and Khao San in Bangkok, and well, she might look really pretty, but you might have a surprise in store for you if you take her back to your room. Never happened to me. Because I didn't do that kind of thing in my days of going down there. Anyways, I digress. So I finally decided to go for that. I got digital system. Once the sound hits my USB microphone, it's digital. Once it hits my audio interface, it's digital. Goes into my digital audio workstation, and it remains digital until speakers convert the impulses into air pressure waves. So, I'm going to make it the finest, cleanest, most exquisitely detailed digital sound that I can muster. Hi, Brian. I've been going on at some length about this whole analog versus digital thing because I've kind of had my, not eureka moment, because I've always kind of known this, but I just felt like I gave it a good year. And I'm really, I'm very pleased to have come to this conclusion finally. And I don't feel like I've lost it, anything. I explored it as far as I care to. And I'm going for, just in my opinion, having listened to this mix in my car, which is extremely unforgiving, and with my wife in the car, also extremely unforgiving, and through all my different headphones and through the tiny little speakers of my cell phone, this is it. Or it's getting there. It's getting there. And this is the kind of digital sound that I really like. And I can hear all the details. There's just a couple of details that are getting buried, but I'm sorting that out very quickly. So that's what I'm going for now. But now here's the what is it called? Caveat. This is still thanks to an analogifier plugin. Okay, I found my secret sauce in this plugin that does a thing. So technically, I guess you could still say that this sound is analogified. I'll show you. So here it is right here. It's Tone Booster's Real Bus 4. And it has saturate. It has a saturate level. It has a hysteresis level and hysteresis makeup. And it has compression. And it has spectrum and asperity and hiss if you want it. And it has wow and flutter. And it even has wear. And you can look at the manual and read what all these are. This is all a tape machine emulation plugin. That's what this is. This is really good at it. And the old one, version 3, is also really good. In some ways, I prefer version 3 to version 4, but I'm still getting used to version 4. And if you look at the presets, you can see it's got, let me see. Look. I need to move myself out of the way now. I've been on my soapbox long enough. So let me just get myself... Oh, wait a minute. Doggone it. Okay. Get myself out of the way now. Right. So, there it is. Here's this plugin. And... Okay, this is a tape machine emulator. Fair enough. And so it has those dark, kind of fuzzy analog tones in it, which is what they really are at the end of the day. They're tones and compression settings. Really, really, really sophisticated ones. But you got, 30 inches per second professional, compact, subtle tape treble Canadian boards. It's like really, I don't know why it's called that. It's like lots of wow and flutter. Tape flange, tape echo. It's got a really nice tape echo in it. I used it in this mix. Ferox history. If you know anything about tape machines, you know where this lingo comes from. Japanese 7.5 inches per second, Swiss 7.5 inches per second. Soft and smooth. You got your glue settings. And when I first tried this one called the Hyper, I just like, whoa, what the hell is that? That's just way over the top. And I listened to it for about all of 3, 4, 5 seconds. So it's just like, because I was still, how can I get this, that sweet kind of tapey analog, tapey kind of vibe, right? And then, and plus I tried looking up, I tried using the AI assistant to look up this preset in this tool to see if anybody wrote about like why it's called Hyper and what it's for, what is it trying to emulate? I don't know. I do know that when I select this preset, I have to, rather than, I have to re-level the mix. It makes it about 2 dB louder. And so in this case, rather than, because I really like the levels the way they are, and I didn't want to have to re-level again. So I just went in to the beginning of my 2-bus chain and I just put a gain utility in there, a really nice one that doesn't harm your sound at all. Air Windows Purist Gain. It's down minus 2.79 dB. So over 2 dB. Just to get it at the right integrated LUFS level, where it plays nice with anywhere you chuck it online, it's going to play nice. And it's not going to get mangled by any normalization algorithms. Okay? But so last night I was like, okay, you know what? I think there's something in that preset that I like. If I get it under control, so I did. And holy Moses, man, that's it. As far as I'm concerned, that's it. So, is it still technically analogified? I suppose it is, but it's not. It's not like my normal conception of analogified. If anything, this brings it into that realm of beautiful digital sound. What I consider beautiful digital sound. With my, I'm a one-eyed painter, right? With my damaged left ear. What I consider to be beautiful sound. I don't know. It could have everybody else wanting to plug their ears. But, at the end of the day, I make this for myself. I make sounds that I like to hear. I like to listen to my music in the car. I like to listen to my music. There's a lot of music that I don't care for. Be the change that you want to see. Make the sounds that you want to hear, right? Okay. Anyway, here it is. This is my new benchmark. I still have one more stage of mastering to run it through. Okay? I'm going to be running it through Klanghelm IVGI2, which is a saturator. And I'm going to be running it through a dynamic EQ, TDR Nova, just to see if I can get a bit more of what I like out of it. But this is a major leap, and it's just nice to be on the concluding end of that whole year-long odyssey. So here it is. This is called Gorilla in the Corner of the Room. And, Brian, your signal has been going in and out. I understand, but I'll give you the timestamp when I start playing this. So you don't have to listen to all this talk if you don't want to. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and play it. Those are my thoughts on digital versus analog. And with that said, I want to get it in the right starting place. Hang on. Right there. Okay. And while I'm at it, I want to look, I want to see how it's doing on Air Windows Meter. Okay. This is Gorilla in the Corner of the Room, a song that I wrote a good 18, maybe 19 years ago. Here goes. I'm going to have to I don't know why it's glitching, because I froze everything that I could. And now this is going to suck if I can't play it back from beginning to end because of some stupid technical issue. Let me close some tabs in my browser. I'll close every tab except for the YouTube stream tab. It should not be glitching. This is ridiculous. All right. Close, close, close. And I don't know. I know. I'm going to turn off this camera because this camera is using some CPU. So I'm going to turn it off. Hang on. Bye-bye. No? Okay. there. And how do I stop camo? Okay, I got to do a Control Alt Delete. Camo, quit. End task. Thank you. Discord, goodbye. And Brave, I need that running. All right. What did that say? Cakewalk is very high. 68%. I don't know why it's that high. It shouldn't be. But anyways, let me try again. I know. I'll play the mix down. That's what I'll do. There we go. Cakewalk be damned. You're out of my life soon anyway. Save. All right, well, this mix down is this really grinds my gears. Because I made some little changes that I'd like to well, there's no use complaining about it. Okay, there's little things in this that are going to be better and nicer, but I'm going to play it just like as I last mixed it down. Here we go. DJ, you're just a man. Thank you. Thank you, DJ. And you're just a man that I to have you drop in here and listen to this, because you're the one that kept pushing me to get the Real Bus version 4 updates, which I did. And I spent a good amount of time prefacing this playback, talking about my thoughts on the whole analog versus digital thing, and how I came down on that. And I found my jam personally. I'm a fan of really nice digital sound. Really nice digital sound. And to me, this is a really nice digital sound, but it comes through, here's where I found it, through Real Bus V4 Hyper. The Hyper preset, which necessitates that you dial the mix down almost 3 decibels if you want it to be at preferred levels, okay? But see, this is the thing. I'll just really quickly recapitulate. No amount, not the greatest analogifier tape machine emulator plugins on earth can ever get you that analog vibe without some loss of detail and clarity. You said, with your comment, I can hear every instrument. Brother, you made my night, you made my month, you made my year, because that's exactly it. That's the thing that continually frustrated me about even the best of these analogifier tools that I could get my hands on. There's always this trade-off. There's always this lack of clarity, and so this is what I've decided to go with. These are big mixes with lots of parts and lots of details, and I want to hear those details. And I'm not going to give them up for a kind of like an emulated sort of brown, fuzzy tape vibe. Okay? So that's the skinny. And again, it's Real Bus 4 Hyper. And then I've got a new mastering chain process that I've set up in Reaper. I'm going to be putting this mix through that. That involves Klanghelm IVGI2 and TDR Nova. So anyway, DJ, thank you for poking your head in here and commenting, man. That comment right there means so much to me, really. As cantankerous as I am, I do prize validation from respected people. So there's that. And Brian, I don't know if you're able to listen, but thank you for being here as well. And I'll just maybe put the timestamp where the playback actually begins. DJ, I guess you said you're getting out of bed. Maybe you're off to a night shift or something. Be safe, be well, stay warm. And yeah, glad to hear from you. And that's it from lovely scenic Paju City, South Korea. Liam Bear playing only the hits. God bless you. Keep you. Over and out.